So a little bit about Florida Capital Bank. They are obviously located in Florida, in Jacksonville specifically. They have 126 employees located across 4 branches in the state. But there's also 30 remote employees across the USA. And shortly, we'll be taking a look at their new intranet, which is called the Hub. So a quick agenda for today. We're going to address some common pain points that we hear from customers. We're going to touch on why intranets are business critical. As much as I love pet galleries, there's much more to an intranet than just showing photos of dogs. And then I'll hand over to Anita, who will be sharing their intranet success story from the very start to the finish and kind of what's looking into the future as well. So let's jump into common pain points. So we just went to 2 conferences, both down in sunny San Diego. One was a banking and credit union conference, and the other one was engineering and construction conference. And when I was speaking to attendees, I kept hearing the same challenges that are faced when an intranet isn't in place. And I want to share some of those with you today. A, to help you determine if you need an intranet. So if you're facing these problems, it's probably something that we should have a chat about. But also to let you know that you're not alone. These are universal problems that can be solved. So these are kind of the 3 main themes that I heard kind of at these 2 different conferences. Change management, changing is happening all the time and can be quite a tedious process. Important knowledge is typically buried in emails or scattered across different tools, and miscommunication of both of these can lead to delays, confusion, and mistakes. So let's jump into change management. So change management happens all the time across every industry. Policies shift, processes evolve, or someone decides there's a better way of doing things. And then everyone's then suddenly scrambling to keep up. So without an intranet, managing those changes can be manual. There's often paper involved, getting hand signatures, and thinking about the time that you spent tracking down what has changed, who changed it, where it now lives, when it happened, and whether anyone actually told the rest of the team. This is one challenge that definitely came up a lot at Jack Henry. Thinking of all the policies that the frontline employees need to kind of relay information to customers. So without having that kind of centralized system to manage this, it leads to chaos. I know there's emails, there's shared drives, word of mouth updates, and everyone has a different version of what the truth is. And that kind of leads nicely into knowledge management, which definitely faces the same challenge. And we probably all somewhere have a document that says the final, really the final version, version 3, floating around somewhere. When there's no central source of truth, content can quickly become outdated and people are wasting hours looking for the right information. There are some crazy stats on the amount of hours people spend looking for information. And when you start doing the math of how much that costs a company, it's kind of scary. If employees might end up referencing the wrong information or the wrong document, digging through slides, digging through emails, and no one has time for that. And then moving on to miscommunication. Both change management and knowledge management only work if they are communicated effectively. But we shouldn't be doing this through email anymore. We probably all have too many emails in our inbox. These important updates are getting lost between calendar invites, lunch menus, birthday announcements, quick reminders. And even if you do see the email in your inbox, it's going to be tricky to find things. I know I struggle to find things in my email. It's like looking for treasure and not finding the gold in your inbox. This is a problem I hear all the time. Again, people wasting time looking for information and communication. So having an intranet like ThoughtFarmer helps to fix that because it's going to give your employees a dedicated space for the knowledge and the content that they need to do their jobs. You can track the changes, manage the changes, and make sure people actually know about them. And people are going to stop saying, hey, do you know where this is? Or is this the right version? They're going to be easy to self-serve themselves and what they need to do their jobs. So we just want clear communication, less confusion, and happier employees. Now, when we were at these 2 conferences, one thing that came up a lot is that people are still using SharePoint. A lot of people rolled their eyes or put a little bit of a face when I asked them how it was. So a bit of history on SharePoint. SharePoint was never designed to be an intranet. It really is a document storage tool and it serves its purpose as that. To be able to build it into an intranet, you need to have someone with technical capabilities. It's very complex. So people do struggle to add content, find the right information. And this typically ends up with different sites being siloed, disconnected tools, not being able to know if information is up to date. And that then all just kind of leads to low engagement from employees. There's also a common misunderstanding that SharePoint is free. On the surface, it can appear that way, kind of a little bit like this iceberg. It's included in the license fee for Microsoft. But when you actually kind of start digging into it and building it, there's a lot of hidden costs that you might have not realized up front. Typically, IT teams need to be involved quite heavily. Sometimes there's someone on payroll who is a SharePoint admin. It's their full-time job to manage this. Some companies choose to bring consultants. So again, that's additional costs that may have not been realized when the SharePoint was first started. We also need to think about kind of what does this look like in 5 to 10 years from now? Are these costs just going to keep adding up? Would we be better to actually move to a kind of out-of-the-box intranet that is doing what we need it to do? So yeah, I think just kind of thinking about, is it free? Is it worthwhile? Is it worth the time that your employees need to actually kind of find the information? It'd be better off going into an out-of-the-box intranet. Alrighty, so let's move into why intranets are business critical. So there's definitely a risk of doing nothing. You've realized that you have challenges, realized that there are pains. And if we don't have a central intranet, this impact is going to ripple across the whole company. Intranets do affect every employee within the organization. There's lots of different roles on here, and this might look different kind of depending what industry or organization you are from. But essentially, the CEO and executive team is going to, if people can't see what the vision is and see how their work impacts the strategy, that's going to kind of create some disconnection there. HR are going to feel some pains with onboarding, make sure people have access to the right information around benefits. We also HR want people to feel connected. And if there's not that central place to do that, HR are going to feel the burden. Your internal comms teams, if they're sending information and updates out via email, there's no guarantee people see them. We can't see open rates, read rates, and it's really hard to get feedback from those all employee emails. IT are going to spend valuable time maintaining share drives, adding content that isn't relevant to them, instead of focusing on strategic work. And lastly, for frontline teams, the employees serving customers is even tougher. If they can't find the information that they need to do their job, it could lead to errors, inconsistent service, and especially compliance risks if that's important in your industry. So all of these add up to company-wide pain points. Not having an intranet just slows things down and kind of impacts your organization negatively. So this is where I want to challenge a common misconception. A lot of people think intranets are just fun for shout outs, birthdays, pet galleries. As I said, I love seeing people's dogs. It's great for morale, but intranets are so much more than that. They're not just a nice to have tool, they are critical to a business. So a well-designed intranet supports every department you see on this slide. It builds alignment and visibility. For HR, it can streamline onboarding and connect employees from day one. IT are going to love not having to add pages, fix things. It's going to free up their time to do the things that they actually want to do. And for your employees, it's going to help them find the information that they need so they can do their best work. They're not going to have to wade through inboxes and guess if they're using the right document. So yes, intranets are for connection and culture, but it's also how you make sure every employee, no matter kind of what, if they're in the boardroom, if they're on the front line, has the information and the clarity that they need to move in the same direction and kind of move with the strategy. So that's why, if you have something in place like ThoughtFarmer, it's not just improving communication, it's really going to strengthen the backbone of your company. So enough of me rambling on. I'm going to hand it over to Anita, who's going to walk us through their new intranet from start to finish. Anita, take it away.
Hi, thank you, Corinne. Welcome, everybody. Going to try and just go through a few slides here and kind of where we started, what our old one looked like, what the new one looks like, and where we plan to take the future of it. So we'll jump right in. So like everybody, and sort of like what Corinne said, is everybody has challenges. Our company was facing a common problem that everybody does, staying connected, the ability to work as one team. Structurally, we are kind of two different companies. We had a mortgage division, a bank division. but we needed to work together, and we started to build silos. And then when remote work came around, that really just increased that disconnection that had. We started to find inefficiencies in processes. There was low morale. Important announcements weren't getting out. Lost in email, as that was mentioned earlier, or you couldn't find it. Or policies that were outdated were floating around. And the biggest thing was everybody was like, it's taken me a lot of time to find this information. Even though we have Microsoft 365, it kind of lacked a single centralized source. So we decided we needed to improve that, and kind of marketing took the lead on this, because communication, customer experience, internal and external, is really big for me. So I wanted to improve that. So our old internet, it just failed. It was outdated. It was a very old platform. IT owned it. IT was too busy with security, fraud, keeping us protected by everything else, that they didn't have the time or the resources when somebody would say, hey, can you update the phone directory? They didn't have the time to do that, or it would take weeks to get it updated, to the point where people started making their own paper phone directories, which would get outdated very quickly. So that wasn't a good use of other people's time, and just didn't serve its purpose. So this is what our old internet looked like. It's pretty scary compared to what you'll see coming up for our new mission. But it would be weeks to get anything updated from IT. So we decided we needed to go on a new direction, find something that could solve this problem. We didn't want SharePoint. We didn't have an internal resource to manage that. IT couldn't manage that. So we knew we had to find something that was more out of the box, and a simple tool to use, and something that could bring everybody together. Since we do have remote employees, trying to keep them connected. We do our best every quarter to have some kind of event and celebrate it and make sure everybody's involved. So as we get further along, I'll explain some of those things that we've done. So we decided to really build something, and we called it the Hub, which we've discovered now. We actually had a naming contest, and that was the most popular name that came out, and that's how we built it, is the hub of information. Do we have a pet gallery? Yes. Do we have shout outs? Yes. But that wasn't the main focus of the site. So how we started the process, typical research, Google. You go to Google, you look up intranet sites, solutions, out of the box solutions. Some of the requirements we had was that it had to be easy setup, minimal IT resources. This was going to be managed and maintained, and still is, by marketing. We also wanted a very short implementation time, only because we were kind of in the focus of, we knew we were going into a new core processor in 2025. So we needed something that we could use, as this was our key tool of communication of that process and what was happening, and keep everybody engaged. So later on, I'll talk about that, is, the typical process of how many weeks and months. Some of the other intranet solutions we found, it was 3, 6, 8 a year time to implement. We didn't have that kind of time. We needed something a little bit quicker. And we also kept it a small committee. It was myself, the IT director, and our technology director, who evaluated all of the internet solution providers. And then we each had our own criteria of what we were looking for. And then after each demo, we would get together and debrief on it. And that's how we came down to selecting a few. We ended up picking 2. ThoughtFarmer was on the top of that list. And what really drove us to finally picking ThoughtFarmer was actually Corinne, our account executive. From the first call of discovery to our second call with her, she really heard all our pain points. She understood what we were talking about, and she came back with a sandbox, a trial site, or a demo site, you could say, for us to try within our next call, which was like 7 working days later. And that made it really easy for us to go in and see what the front end would experience from a customer service from our internal employees, to I could see how easy it was on the back end to make changes and updates and implement stuff. So that was, I would
Yeah,
say,
I always think like it's all good me sitting here showing you how easy it is, but if you can get your hands on it, then you can see
yes,
how easy it is as well. So
it is. And I prefer that in a lot of things we do. I just think, salespeople can always oversell stuff, but then when you actually start implementing a process, you really you see oh well, this isn't what I thought. This is what I heard, but this isn't really what I thought. But actually touching and feeling, like when you buy something, there's nothing better than actually touching and feeling that fabric. So
yeah,
that's kind of how I saw this. And I was able to go in on the back end and brand it how I thought it should start to look like. So that was really very helpful. So how do we get the shareholder buy-in? I know everybody sometimes asks me that. Really, they trusted the 3 of us as a committee to make that final decision. They had a few requirements. Information was secure. They met all of our IT policies for everything. And that marketing was going to be responsible for content posting. We would limit how many other departments had access, and that we were going to make it very useful and up to date, and not turn it into shout outs for babies, weddings, announcements, and pet gallery. That it had to have the content that our last intranet tried to do, but didn't accomplish very well. So kind of we saw ThoughtFarmer as a true partner, not just a vendor. When we spoke to them, they said typically it could be 8-10 weeks getting something, and we really pushed back on them. And they kept saying, are you sure? You're sure? And we're like, well, we really need to get this launched. So we brought in 2 interns to help us with content, to load up content. And that really helped us kind of meet our deadline that we were striving for. And the whole time ThoughtFarmer was like, okay, we will help you get this way. We'll help you get it launched. We'll do what we can. They were really collaborated with us. Ben was awesome. He was our senior project manager. He really kept us on task. He knew how to have the weekly projects and wouldn't let the meetings get derailed, as sometimes they can be. And then what I really liked was, every meeting, the notes were completely published and ready within, a few hours of that meeting, and on a resource site that we could go in and check. So, oh, I forgot what he said. We could go and find it. And then later on after launch, we got Jasper, who has held our hand the whole way, has been great in helping us. If we had a question, he'd quickly respond. So we really felt like they were part of the FLCB team, not just a vendor. They were an extension of my marketing team, actually, is how I felt. So
I think everyone needs a Ben and Jasper in their life.
yes.
They're
I
great.
could use Ben really on some other meetings around here. So I'm going to introduce the new hub, what our new intranet looks like. This isn't live, this is just screenshots, but it will definitely show you kind of what it looks like before and after. So this is our hub. So we use a carousel at the top. There's a couple different options. We've tried a couple different times. We found this one works best for our audience, our internal audience, whose average age is around 40 and older. But they can click through, the news clicks through. We put the fun stuff, as you can see up there. We have a quick links section right up front. Everybody loves that. Quickly, you can go here, you can click on it, go if you need ADP, you need, your Fidelity 401, I don't remember that link. It's all right there. And then we have blog sites from our senior management. So once a month, they each post something relevant, and we put that in the carousel. And then we also share it, in their own blog site that they can see. We have other things on the page. We locally will put sports events that are happening in each of our markets in Florida. So somebody goes, oh, when is the next Jaguar game? Well, instead of going to their phone, they can go right on their computer and it's right there on the Jaguar game. Or if it's Tampa Bay, they can go to Tampa Bay's schedule. Again, I'm referencing Florida because that's where we are. But so that's the fun part of it. As you can see, we kind of divided it up in teams, so it was easy to find. So if you're on a sales team, that's where you would go. If you were on the what we call the company or headquarters team, everybody has their own page under there to go to. Important documents are stored there. Everybody can find them. Policies are on there. Everybody can find them. The biggest feature everybody likes is there's a search feature up here. If you're looking for something, you type it in, it pulls it up where it's located. So it's gone really well.
It looks awesome.
Thank you. So, and we really try to keep it up to date. So kind of the results and the business impact on it is it's been a single source. It's saved people's time. And that's kind of the feedback we've gotten. From our branches, they now have a single source for all their forms, procedures, and manuals. It's not on a network drive or somebody opens it and makes a change and forgets to save it or put it into a folder. Everything is housed there. Updates are sent to us and we upload them. The quick link sections, which I mentioned earlier, everybody loves that. And this also helps with onboarding new employees, because when you start, you get so inundated with all this new information, where to go, what to find. So we have this section. It's easy for them to find and click, like the IT help desk. We also have a section that's on the sidebar. It's called Who Do You Call? And it has a document that says, okay, if you need this, this is who you call. If you need that, this is who you call or who you email. For marketing, we have a section that has all the marketing flyers people can share. Our remote mortgage employees love the mobile app because they can pull it up in a customer's office and show the flyer right there, and then email them. They don't have to pull out their laptop. It's easy for them to find. They can go in the search or they go to their section. So it's really improved time and finding that information that people normally would have to search on a network drive. We used to have the problem where somebody would move a folder. They didn't mean to, they were trying to make a shortcut and the folder got moved, and we'd have to get IT involved to go find that folder and see where it was moved. So this keeps control of where all the information is. It's also really reduced the amount of emails. We've pushed really hard to say, if you need a group email that goes out to everybody, this is the source we're going to use. Improves the communication. It actually has helped our departments. And as I said, we had like a mortgage company and a bank company become one company now. So the mortgage understands what the bank employees are doing, and the bank employees know what the national mortgage company is doing, what's happening, what promotions are going on, what news is coming up. We do things quarterly, like I said, so we share that with everybody and we get people engaged. We do have a pet gallery. We've asked people to they're allowed to upload their pets. And matter of fact, for Halloween, we're going to have a pet costume this year because that was a request. So we'll have that. But any of the other events that the corporate office used to do, we now involve everybody. So it's just been, easier to get people more involved. And they do have the social media part of, doing the shout outs, talking to everybody, thanking them. This team, had somebody out sick for a while, so people picked up, her job, and she was able to come back and it was still functioning just like the way it was, because everybody knew where to find that information. And she was able to give them a shout out and thank them. So everybody across the company saw that. You know, forms is something we recently started adding to the process with the help of Jasper. And also on the ThoughtFarmer, they have like a resource page, community page that you can go to once you're a ThoughtFarmer customer, and kind of get feedback from how it works for other customers. So we started using this form. We've created a couple different ones. We've used it for business cards now, which has really eliminated a lot of the, for me and my team on marketing, getting those requests for business cards. We just launched one last week for supplies, and the supply person really likes that because it kind of keeps track of it. There's a log of who ordered what, when it was placed. So there's no, oh, I sent you an email, didn't you get my email? It kind of eliminates those kind of things that happen. Self-serving from a marketing standpoint, it's been great for me because we have our branding out there. We have our branding guidelines. We have the assets. So there's no more emailing me, hey, can you send me the logo, or where's the logo? It's all right there. So people can go straight there and find it. They know what they're allowed to use and not use. So it's been very helpful for me from that standpoint. IT and HR have really loved it too, also for broadcast requirements. Every year we have certain documents that have to be sent out, have to be signed, have to be given signed, and then would either have to be printed and mailed back or emailed back. So now we have what's called broadcast. We can broadcast that out, make it required reading. So there's a digital trail of who opened it, when they signed it, and that goes back to HR and IT. So it's really efficiently cut down on for them. So that's a huge impact for HR and IT, especially HR. We have one person in HR. So for her to have that feature, she loves it. Polls are something we do a lot. We used to use an email program to send out polls, and we take surveys. And now we do it on the hub. So that eliminates another software where we have to go in and pull the information. Now we have it here. Everybody can see the poll. They can see the results. It's nothing hidden, and it's not relying on marketing to do all of it. So some other popular features and business impact. People really love the people directory. It's integrated with Active Directory. So as soon as somebody's hired, they are automatically added into our directory overnight. So there's a download every night. So it's not remembering somebody to submit a form to add this person to the phone directory. All of the information is already there. The mobile app, like I said earlier, our team loves it. I've loved it. I've been out at conferences and I needed to get a hold of somebody, and I can easily just pull up the app, find them in our people directory, and email them or call them if it's somebody I'm not, don't deal with on a regular basis. The quick access with the quick links to all our core systems has been really fun, and people love that. The shout outs. People really like that. It has that social media kind of aspect to it, but not too heavily, which some of the other intranet solutions we found were more like social media, which our age group just wasn't going to work well with them. So this gave the combination of both. You can give a shout out. You can earn these badges. As you can see, Andrea here on sample, she's earned a lot of badges. Giving out people shout outs, responding to people, just, that feel good stuff kind of helps increase the morale and get everybody engaged. So here are a few quotes from our customers, our employees, because I do feel like they're my customer. As you can see, they're talking about the search feature, used all the time. They can quickly find information by just typing in the search what they're looking for. There's no more, where's the rate sheet? They just type in rate sheet and it pops up. the people, finding the people quickly. This is help from a business aspect too, because we've had people in mortgage that needed to work with people in the bank, and before with a paper directory that never got updated or was weeks behind being updated, they can quickly find who they need to reach out to, and who reports to who. That's help with the directory. Again, the next one of these is the who's on your team. We have our interests. We've played games. We try to do something every quarter. For Thanksgiving, we have the find the turkeys. So we make people go find the turkeys and on different pages. So it makes them look at different pages, and they find it fun. And they actually learn a little bit. The last one we did was, did you know this person played a saxophone? So it made them kind of look and find out who's on their team or who's on the next team sitting next to them that played the saxophone that they would not normally know. In years ago, what we used to do, we would send out a form and ask people to fill it out. We create these like bubble charts and we put them on the TVs, or we send it out via email. Now we don't have to do that. We put it on the hub. And we have our pet gallery with a few pigs. So everybody loves that. Lots of information. Our compliance team loves it. They love not having to go through and hunting through all the network folders that are folders within folders. So that's really it. That's our hub. I'm finding it very exciting. I'm looking forward to next year where we're coming up to our 1-year anniversary in November. So we're looking at what other ways we can expand this. So we will be doing a poll and a survey to say, what's the next step? What would you like to see out here? As we do different things for different departments, it triggers another department go, hey, can you do this for us? And we go, of course. Or we'll go, let's figure it out, and we try. So if anybody has any questions.
Yeah, I think you've really nailed the balance between making it a critical system, but also having that culture piece. I think you've done that really nicely. So good job. That's awesome to see.
Thanks.
Questions come in is around the IT involvement. You mentioned that IT used to own the intranet. Now they're kind of a bit more hands off. How has that transition been? How did they feel about kind of stepping away from the intranet? And kind of how much were they actually involved when you were building out the hub?
They were thrilled that we went to marketing, so they didn't have to deal with it. But they were, from the beginning of selecting it, our IT director was involved. He had a list of criteria. We went through it. Their involvement is they worked with Ben on getting Active Directory connected, the security groups. So we still work with them closely on it. But once it got launched, it's pretty much all in marketing's hands. We let IT doesn't have anything really to do with it anymore, other than that there's something that needs to go backwards, which we haven't done. We haven't needed to do, which has been great.
Great.
They connected Active Directory and then Microsoft 365. So it was part of Teams that connected. So when you use the mobile app, you're actually, it's part of Microsoft 365. So you're using your same login. We also had them have it where it opens to the hub is your home page whenever you open a browser. So every morning when you start your computer and it opens up a browser, it's going to the hub, whether it's on Chrome or Edge. So that was one requirement we had to, push out, and IT helped us.
Awesome. How do you collect feedback for your intranet? Is that just kind of word of mouth, or is it through the intranet itself?
It's through word of mouth, and then we also do the polls or surveys, and we hold quarterly town hall meetings that we do live for all our employees. And that's one thing our CEO has made very strongly when we went with this platform, that it always was updated. It was relevant information. It didn't get outdated. That I'm on that agenda for the town hall every time to mention the hub and ask questions and trying to promote it. We do pull reports and analysis to see who's going to what pages the most. We have a recipe page. It gets very popular. but then the policies and guides are something that gets updated regularly. So it holds people accountable for their policies and getting them updated and posted on time, because I can pull a report and show him. So
Awesome. And last question, you've shared a lot of insight already, but if you have one piece of advice for someone looking for a new intranet, what would that be?
determine who's going to manage it. I work very closely with the IT director. We joke he's my work husband, because we do a lot of implementing of technology and tools across the company. So my advice would be determine who's going to be the lead on it and really partner with them to make sure you understand everybody's needs. And as I said earlier, I really believe you need to look at it from the standpoint of who's using it. So that customer experience, even though it's internal, don't build it because it's functional for you. You should be building it for how they're going to use it.
Okay, awesome. Alrighty, so that kind of brings us nearly to time. So thank you, Anita, for presenting your internet. I'm really excited for what
You're
happens
welcome.
next. And thank you everyone for joining us. We will be in touch with an email of a recap of the webinar. And if you aren't already a ThoughtFarmer customer and you want to get a sandbox site like Anita shared, feel free to reach out and we'd be happy to set one up for you. All right.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for your time and we'll speak to you all very
All
soon.
right. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.